Hey, hello, hello.
Okay. Hello. So,
Welcome.
welcome. Yes. Um, Erin will guide us with this chat. We will have a chat as two people who feel that we have a knowledge that more people should know to um, be able to find peace in the world that is full of wars, full of corruption, full of pain and suffering. I believe this is very crucial. We will talk about it and share, and I hope it will help some of you.
Beautiful. It's good to be here with you. This is the first time we've been in conversation, so I think it'll be nice and fresh for anyone listening because this is brand new for us talking together.
Yep.
Yeah. So we picked a topic to kind of talk about today, and it is specifically talking about how children are groomed into hierarchical technological systems, which result in fear mindset and mistrust, and how this is predominantly coming from their educational systems and nationalist mindsets and the economic systems of the world today. So, and also the message of hope, how we can live differently, perhaps. So we have a few questions that we put together. We'll talk around. So I'd like to ask you first if you're open to it, and then I can maybe give my ideas. From
Sure.
so I understand that you work in education systems, and then we have all gone through them. So, from your experience in education systems, personally and professionally, can you say a little bit about when children start to lose their trust in their natural self, and then start being motivated by a fear-based mindset?
Uh, I don't see any distinct stage where children are brainwashed. I think every interaction with this culture is involves brainwashing. Even when we are infants in our mother's womb, the hormones, the fears, etc. of mother, we we get affected, and it has a long-term impact on our feelings. When our mother is suffering, depressed, and fearful, we it affects us in the long term. When we become, let's say, elderly, we can still have those in fact those scars, let's say. Yeah. And um, then we are born into our parents' family. They have their own struggles. You see them stressed. You see them, struggling. You absorb all this because we are feeling-based beings. We just, when you're a kid, uh, especially when you still the logical brain is not fully developed, you are almost fully feeling based. You absorb everything and you integrate it to your personality because you are looking for examples. And and then you go to into the education system, and there they really give you like the division mindset, the competition mindset, to like seal it off, to seal the trauma, everything, to finish it off. And then you get out of the education system and you are ready to be drawn for the technological civilization. I mean, many people might think that how I'm talking, what I'm saying is sounds extreme or like too dramatic. But if you are honest with yourself, I mean, what's going on, you realize that I mean this is true, like objectively true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree, and I don't think it's too shocking. Just from observing children. I don't have any children, but I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and to see a little baby, they're just looking around, even looking at their own hand. It's like amazing. They're
Mm-hmm.
just this open field of wonder, and
Yep.
of course they've taken on whatever, yeah, emotional stress the mother was carrying, all these environmental factors, but in a way, they're not really judging too much. They're absorbing. They're not really putting out too much interpretation as far as I can see. And I was just reading a book recently, and they were talking about the way that wars happen, and when somebody loses, there's a winner and a loser in a war, and the war criminal, whoever is put on trial after, is only the one who lost. So the
Mm.
winner doesn't suffer any
Yeah.
consequences, even if
Mm.
they killed lots of people. And I was thinking about this in family systems when there's a mother and a father, a little baby or a child looks at the mother and the father in an argument, and whoever loses the argument is the bad one because we
Mm.
need to survive. So we want
Yeah.
to learn how the winners do that. And so I think
Mm.
even just taking in what's happening in these little conversations in families, children pick up the defenses and judgments and the idea that there's a winner and a loser. And of course, in school, that's how the education system works. There are people who get a good grade, people who get a bad grade. And if you get a bad grade, you don't go forward. So there's
Yeah.
consequences. And yeah, I think it's not too absurd. It's yeah.
Yeah. It's very obvious.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
obvious, actually. Yeah. But we just, I think it's child abuse. Like, it's how do you, to me, it's very weird that people just agree to send their kids at 5 years old, 6 years old, you know, into a classroom with all the other kids, and there is one teacher, and the teacher usually is not a wise person. He or she is there just to earn money to survive, basically, and just teaching them topics decided by the government, by corporations, basically by the technological civilization to profit the technological civilization and all the politics involved in it. And then, you know, making your kid go through all this. I don't think that anyone who loves their kid would allow such a thing. But we are forced by law to do this, and people just tend to ignore because it's easier to ignore than otherwise it would create huge suffering. I believe this is the case that people ignore things that cause huge suffering and avoid addressing it. That perpetuates that toxic system, unfortunately.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
From my own experience, my family was very much the children helped take care of other children, and it was normal in my family. There were seven of us kids, so the older kids helped the younger kids, and the state they had ideas about that, like it was not right for an older sister to be looking out for a younger sister, and so that certain laws and systems become so unfeeling that they only see the the way the machine looks, the machine works. And if anything looks alternative to that, it's dangerous for the parents. It was dangerous for my mom when people thought that that was a bad thing. So, like you said, it's if parents, it almost seems like parents can't love their children when they put them into this machine, and at the same way they're afraid, I'm sure. Like that's the
Yeah,
fear-based mindset, right? That if they don't
yeah,
do it the way the system says to do it, there are consequences.
yeah. Real consequence, real punishment, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, when I said parents don't, I didn't mean that they don't love it when they send to education system. I mean, how can you? I mean, you know, as a society, it is fear-based. You might love, but fear overwhelms your love in a way. So you have to send it. Otherwise, there will be uprising saying no more schools.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Which is great. This reminds me of something I wanted to share is this parable. I don't know if you've heard of it, of the emperor's new clothes. I
yeah,
just heard it yesterday. Yeah, so he needs this new wardrobe. He wants to be better. He wants to seem cooler, and so he gets this new wardrobe. But the tailor doesn't have time to finish it in time. So he says, "Oh, here's your beautiful new clothes," and put them on. But he's not wearing any clothes. And he says the special thing about these clothes is only the smart people can see them. Anybody stupid cannot see them. And he goes and he says, "Oh, well, I'm smart." And he goes naked around the town, and everyone says, "Oh, well, I'm not stupid. Beautiful, beautiful clothes." And everyone, "Oh, I'm not stupid. I love your clothes." And the little child sees the emperor and says, "He's naked." And
Yeah,
because the child isn't afraid of looking stupid, the child isn't afraid to say the truth. And I think
yeah,
this is the difference between before the education, before the mindset sinks in. The
exactly.
child is just open and free. And I think the more
Doesn't
we can,
doesn't know the consequences. The
yeah,
child doesn't know the consequences, so they
yeah,
can just be. Yeah.
yes, yes. And I think a lot of these consequences, they aren't necessarily actually threats. They are believed threats,
Mm,
you know?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Like exclusion from society is a huge instinct in people. It's basically like because we are social animals, it is an instinct. So it is like in our reptilian brain, right? So it's so deep, and people don't realize. I think we will touch to this a little bit as well to be aware of what you are feeling,
yeah.
not just go along with your feelings, but be aware. Right? Just create that space to realize what is going on with you, because we are so focused on education system as well. Like focuses us to just focus on outside instead of inside. But when we start thinking that way, that how am I feeling, why am I feeling that way, etc., I think it helps to create that space, and then you can manage your fears uh, better and act in the right ways.
Very well said. Yeah. Yeah. Great. I think that really nicely brings us to the next question about how I've heard you speak in your videos online, which I highly recommend other people check them out, referring to these systems that we're living in as cults, various kinds of cults. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, why do you use that word? And how does it play into the fact that it seems today our personal worth is really tied into how well a person serves this technological industrial system?
Yes. So um, cult again might seem like a strong word to use, but it is what it is. It is a cult. We are living uh, under the cult of technology, and uh, it is a cult because, despite the ongoing evidence that it is destroying Mother Nature, it is causing a 6 month extinction, people still subscribe to it. People still follow it almost uh, unquestioningly, like trusting full with almost like full trust. But these days with AI, etc., people start complaining. But I mean, uh, because it gives us goodies, as they say, right, comfort, etc., in the short term at least. It takes more than it gives, but people are conditioned to focus on on the benefits. So they think that this is the way to go, right? I mean, it gives us basic needs. It gives us food, clean water, etc., to the human population, growing human population. But in the past, of course, we had these things without the technology. Nature was providing us. Uh, but as we went away from the balance of nature by using technology, we drifted away from that harmony. Um, we more and more started relying on technology to obtain our needs, even our basic needs. And I think this is an important driver for people that they think that technology is the solution to everything. But they don't see the big picture that, okay, it was working for a little while, just like any other addiction works for a little while. But where is this going? Right? You just drink alcohol, let's say, and for a little while you feel good. And after years of drinking, your health deteriorates, and smoking, every other addiction. Um, so this is what's going on with technological civilization. it is an addiction. It is a literal addiction by its full definition, and it is a cult because people don't question where are we going with this. They just trust blindly, and it has a charismatic leader that is the technology, right? The science technology, and we just trust like it is God. It can create anything, it can do anything, create wonders, no limits, right? This type of thinking, many people think that way. And if you think that way, you are in a cult, full blown cult, unfortunately.
Wow, excellent answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been reading about the way that the capitalist and consumerist mindset has become a complete belief system. And
Yeah.
that the one region in the world that rejects this the most is Africa. And the people of Africa have been punished severely for not adopting the capitalist system. And the tactic is to try to convince the people that the technology and the money system is the best way to go, and that we get all these benefits from taking on this system. And the people of Africa are so amazing because they say, I'm not buying it. Literally, I'm not buying that idea.
Mm.
And they have held out more than any other culture. And again, they've been penalized the most, punished the most. So I think we can really learn something from those people in the way they say, I just don't believe that. I don't believe that's the best way to go. And I think you and I have both, I mean, I'm coming from a history of addiction and recovery that I could see, okay, this beating my head against the wall with these things that are promising to give me peace, that never really give me lasting peace. What else is there out there? And it's like I don't think money is it. I don't think objects is it. I don't think that science is it. Like, what is it? And something that I think I can learn from the people of Africa too is that they've kept with their tradition. They've kept with their spirit as stronger, community as stronger and more real. So I think these are the questions that really helped me get out of the cult, is asking what is real? What is really real? What is not just told to me is important. So it's
Mm.
this curiosity that children show us so naturally. We all come from that. And I think we can really use it. We can really use it to leave the cult.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, leaving the cult is quite difficult at this point because, uh, as I said, once you start, it's like there is an effect. What is it called when you withdrawal effect? When you withdraw suddenly from addiction with some substances, you might even die. Like it can be a serious issue. So it's the same effect. Our population, our dependence on technology, fossil fuels, etc. When we even food production depends on fossil fuels. Without fossil fuels, half of the food cannot be produced. Some studies say so. Like we are addicted literally to technology. We had some chance before, but now we realize almost too late, and we need to just undo it with great, how to say, not consistency, what's called like the decision. Like we must decide and follow it, and it is very difficult because there is some caveat with technology that it gives power to psychopaths. It gives power to cruel people. Uh, when you say, okay, I'm not going to use technology, I will undo it, I will live more harmoniously with nature, minimalist, etc. Those who don't say it, those who say, I want technology full, they develop and they take over. That's the disadvantage that we are in with either we gain the hearts of the majority of people and wake them up, make them realize what's going on, or Mother Nature will take care of it. Basically, the collapse phase. And unfortunately, I don't want to comment on what will happen, but it seems very difficult to wake people up. But if we can wake up a few, it is still something.
Yeah, I think this is really, I hear this all the time. And the feeling like it's too big to really fight or change, especially just by rejecting technology. Practically, that doesn't make sense. I use technology for my job. I can't just reject technology. Um, I could, but it wouldn't maybe help as many people as it could, because one of my main messages is to help people wake up. And I think on a practical level, starting with our own shift, I do believe there's a collective harmony that we're living in because we are not separate from nature, and that there are waves of change that come through us in every interaction that we have. And that when I'm in the presence of somebody and I am experiencing peace and not fear, then I can see a change in that person. I can just see them opening up a little bit. And I think that this is the most practical change, is that when I am just here, absolutely here for you, I'm not here for you with a motive to get you to do something. Uh, I just am really open. And if I can be with every single person, I can't be now. I'm not perfect. But if I can be, aspire to that, be open, completely open and real and true, and see them for the essence that they are, I think it's a magnifier. I think it magnifies truth. We mirror back to each other, and that can spark something that's more, I think it's more powerful than just dropping technology. And I really think that like powers, governments, they don't have anything to fight that with. They don't have a weapon strong enough to fight that. So I do have a slightly different view, I think, on that, maybe.
Yeah. So not different actually, because people ask me, I receive this comment many times. They say, if you are so against technology, why do you have a YouTube channel? Why are you recording and publishing these things, right? So I say that, I give an example, for example, I say, imagine that someone with a knife attacked you, and you also had a knife, and you use it to defend yourself, and you fought, and maybe you killed the person and you got injured very seriously, right? And you are in the hospital. Now, I wouldn't thank for the existence of knives. I would say I wish they didn't exist. So technology is exactly the same. It shouldn't exist, ideally, because it destroys nature. It's not sustainable. I will also touch on the exponential growth of technology, that how it is inherently it must grow because it creates more problems than it solves. Maybe I touched this on my documentary, The Connections 2021 short documentary. That's the core idea that I try to give in that documentary, that technology is basically creating more and more problems each passing day. And this basically is not sustainable. Right? We can't just keep mining. We can't just keep, the agricultural practices that we have now and expect to survive, let's say, towards the end of this century. The energy in the sector, etc., in big trouble. So, and all this pollution ongoing. So, in a way, as I said, we can't just hope that we will keep this lifestyle with technology. So it has to be undone one way or another. As I said, either Mother Nature will do it, or we will do it willingly. And it is totally okay for me to use it to spread awareness, because in that example, you are defending, you are basically trying to undo the damage that they did. The system keeps doing all this brainwashing. We are just basically trying to unplug people, trying to wake them up. And doing this through technology doesn't mean that technology is sustainable. It doesn't say anything about the sustainability of technology when you do such a thing.
Okay, yeah, that really gets me curious about in the example you gave of the knife fight. You good?
Yes, sorry.
No problem.
Yes.
In the example of the knife fight, I'm thinking of being attacked by someone with a knife is it's terrifying. And
Yeah.
acting from instinct is to fight back, of course.
Yeah. Yes.
And I want to be living less from instinct. I want to be living from something that is a bit higher, a bit wiser. So I'm wondering for you, and then for maybe people listening, what is your perspective on how to deconstruct that dependence on technology, not coming from fear, not coming from instinct? Do you have a way that you do this or a way that you stay in touch with that?
The way I try to do it is the same way you do it with, uh, you know, uh, we must realize the harmony. That's the most important thing. Many people don't even realize that there is a harmony to be respected out there. There is a literal harmony, just like the harmony in our bodies, right? We can't just say, okay, for example, why alcohol is bad, why cigarettes are bad. Let's give alcohol an example. Why alcohol is bad? Because it is unnatural. It is technology. We are supposed to drink water. When you use technology to extract alcohol and drink it, it is bad because it is. That's why I don't separate technology from addictions. They are the same things, but in a larger scale, in a longer term. And uh, we must realize the harmony. That's the first thing. If we don't know harmony, we don't have any reference. We are lost. So that harmony is Mother Nature, as how things supposed to be. Just like when we know that we must drink water but not alcohol. It is that understanding of what is this harmony. That is the guidance. And uh, another thing that we must realize that we are one. When you realize the harmony, meaning the interconnectedness of things and the similar nature of things, you realize that once like you affect others and those effects return back to you. You create a wave when you act when you do anything, you just create a wave in this universe and it comes back. So I give the example of a lake, a very still lake. Imagine a very still lake, and someone just throws a stone in it, and start creates a wave, a propagating circular wave. And then what people do with technology, so that stone is basically the first technologies, right? And what people today is trying to do is to kill those waves to revert back to stillness by throwing more stones to the waves. They just say, okay, let's throw more stones and we'll just kill this wave. Well, you create more and more waves. So how can you make the lake still if you keep throwing the stones? We must just stop throwing the stones if we want to be still, peaceful. And this is an analogy to our situation. And, you know, that's the thing that we must, again, it all comes back to harmony and oneness, connectedness. They all mean the same thing to me. And the consciousness, the feelings, we must realize that this is not a material world. I mean, it's a material world, but at the same time, just yin and yang, right? It has two sides. It's feeling world as well. I don't separate them from each other.
If I might
And
just say something about your analogy, it's really great. I really like it a lot, and I haven't heard this.
I came up with it.
It's fantastic, especially because I have this wise friend. He does YouTube stuff too, Paul Hederman. He talks about self, meaning ego. Self can't get out of self. So self would be the identity of the person who drops all technology, or the person who becomes a vegan and their identity is a vegan. Like people who take a new identity, they're throwing another stone into the water. They're just adopting something that is the idea of me being good, to fight something bad. And I think that is staying in, it's it's a step better, perhaps, but I think when the identity is still, I'm separate from you, there are good people and there are bad people, it's stepping farther from oneness. It's reinforcing the separateness. And I think that coming back to the stillness, then I can be curious about the motivations behind people who are fearfully trying to find power and fearfully trying to dominate over other people. Because I think that the idea that the world is material is the idea that I am a thing and that you are a thing and that animals are things and that all of this can be manipulated by me to get what I want. And I think one of the most key things in what you just shared is like, we need to see when we're trying to adopt a self-seeking motive to get a better world, to get a healthy world, to get an outcome for me, that is the wrong direction. That the
Yeah,
harmony is the motivation and the fuel for the change at the same time.
yeah. I mean, let's talk a little bit about veganism as well, as you touched on it.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean, when people say they are vegan, there is so much misunderstanding that, if you, obviously we need to define this type of lifestyle, to be clear during communication. Otherwise, we can't communicate, right, the message. But uh, many might think it is a diet. Many might think it is because of health, like, selfish again, like, and that's where when we talk with, let's say, from animal rights perspective, right? Stop exploiting animals. This is actually the true definition of veganism. Expand yourself to the other animals, right? Other individuals, and uh, stop torturing them, basically, right? Stop exploiting them. And this, when we see it as you say, a personality, have to say, like, another mask that we wear to look good in society. I mean, many people, they use it for that. They say I'm vegan, and they just wear the mask, but they don't talk about animals. Let's say they just, they don't talk about uh, the compassion that they extended to others, right? I mean, so that's important to talk when you adopt a personality and you are sharing the message. I believe it's important to say why, like, show them how they must also expand their compassion onto others. It can be animals, it can be, nature, other humans, as you said. The enemy mindset, that seeing others as the enemy. Let's say this non-vegan is my enemy now. I want to destroy. I mean, if you show full hate, that guy is not going to listen to you, probably, because they're already coming from a hateful place. You are just feeding the hate. I have a concept of like friendly trauma. I came up with it. I said we can use trauma, little friendly traumas, to undo their bigger, larger traumas, like reminding them their old past traumas. Let's say someone is eating animals and they don't care about, animals, and you show them a slaughterhouse footage. That's a friendly trauma. It's not intended to hurt them. It is intended to go to their existing bigger traumas and connecting themselves, their own already instincts, natural responses, back with reality. Right? So this, like, targeted friendly trauma, not with bad intention, but with good intention. So because people were saying, oh, we must accept everything, we must accept non-vegans as well, we must accept them, that, we must be okay with them exploiting other animals. I can't be okay with exploiting animals, right? So it is against compassion when say, okay, you can do whatever you like, but I am doing my way. It is not real compassion. So it must be, in a way, a compassion that heals, right? It's like covers everything that non-vegan, animals, everything. And then in a kind of wise, intelligent way, which is sometimes difficult to find the balance because we are also humans. And I don't know if you read about like anti-vegan comments and stuff. They can be
Oh,
really exhausting to deal with, like animals right activists. Imagine dealing with these comments every day, hundreds of times, and they can I'm sick of it because it's really like when you look at the animal suffering, and then some real nonsense comments about from anti-vegans, you have that feeling coming up. But again, we can't just rely on our instincts. We need to just take a deep breath, as I said, again, create that space to feel that, okay, I'm feeling angry. Maybe I need to take a break so I can respond more healthily, more constructively. I mean, it depends in a million ways how to respond constructively. It depends on the person's past, who we are responding to, what will be the best way to what is missing that they can't connect with others, what is missing in them that they can't just feel compassion.
I think
They
I'd like to just make a quick comment on something you
yeah
said, that it takes
yeah
this intelligence.
yeah
And something my partner says that I really enjoy, he says, I don't want to insult your intelligence.
mm,
And I really like this because sometimes I don't want to push anything on somebody that they're not interested in hearing and they're not ready to hear. So I try to be conscientious about who I'm speaking to and where they are at and how to most skillfully speak to them.
yeah
And my partner reminds me, I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence. And so what I'm hearing you say is to recognize the capacity for compassion in every person. I believe you
but,
as someone who is eating meat, not you, but a person who's eating meat. I recognize their capacity to see what
mm,
this really is. And I think this is touching on the technology as an addiction, the meat as an addiction. One of my great teachers, Bernardo Kastrup, the philosopher, analytic idealist, he talks about meat is it is addictive. And when we are in a loop of addiction and acting from instinct in that, give me more, 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 then there's no space to pause. And I've had horrible comments before, and I can recognize when that feeling comes up, or when an impulse to use a substance comes up, that it's like, okay, what do I need? I need to pause and let the intelligence come back because the wisdom has gone out the window
yeah
because I'm hyper focused on this instinctual response. So I
yeah
think the kind of giving yourself space to pause is that's like one of the best teachings I have is just like, let me just stop and just
yeah.
pause. So I really like your idea of the friendly traumas, and I see it as, yeah, not insulting anybody's
if
intelligence.
if I insult someone, you should let them know that you are friendly. Like you can still say, I mean, it's a very fine balance, right? You can just say you are being silly, like, but you like the main idea to me is not showing. I have to say that showing that you have good intention, despite them showing bad intention, because they lack. Obviously, something went very wrong in their lives. They're traumatized, so they can connect, and you need to just don't feed that part. Just um, in a way um, let them know that you are doing this because of your good heart. It all comes down to that basically. We must have a good heart and bring it as much as possible. It takes lots of energy sometimes and awareness, but we must do our best. We are human and we must do our best with this.
Yeah, it's reminding me of something my teacher, I do relational therapy with people, so like helping them work in their relationships with higher truth. And one of the key things as a leader in that way is to point out the truth to people that they don't really want to hear.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they do, and they don't. And um, something that also in that training I learned is something, it's called misery stabilizers. So maybe it's not an addiction, Like maybe someone really likes to eat chicken, it tastes so good to them, and they don't really feel addicted, but it stabilizes their misery. And
Don't
when
know
they're,
about that concept.
when they're
Uh,
feeling miserable, they have the idea that will bring my misery level down. And so it's something that happens in relationship all the time. So instead of telling somebody how I really feel, I'm going to go play a video game instead. It's going to stabilize my misery instead of dealing with it face to face. And I think when it comes to eating meat, when it comes to depending on technology, feeling really numb all the time, however people show up in this society numb and unwell, that one of the key things is to just notice where we're numbing ourselves. And then also something you mentioned is telling somebody the truth, like having somebody in your life that will say, I really love you, I really care about you. I don't know if what you're doing is the best thing. And to show them, like, I'm coming from this from a place of love, and I'm not doing this to shame you. And so I'm wondering for yourself, because this is something that's important to me to like maintain my accountability, is to have people in my life who will say, I don't know if what you're doing is the best thing. Or do you think maybe you're doing this because you used to do this? So do you have anyone in your life who holds you up to accountability? Or do you have a wise mentor, partner, friends who live this way and can help you see where you're maybe not seeing something clearly, or just to challenge you in a loving way?
yeah, so luckily my wife is vegan, so uh, I can have a relationship because I wouldn't be able to sustain a relationship, daily relationship with a non-vegan in a close manner because I mean, you know, it is something else to do, uh, to interact with them, to heal them, and it is something else to engage daily because when you interact to heal them, it can take energy from you, and it shouldn't be this way. Like a relationship, a family, when you interact, it should increase your energy, not take away. It shouldn't be a fight, right? So I prefer, uh, you know, um, because of that. But uh, other than that, mentor-wise, um, I mean, I learned from almost everything. As you said, like bad people, I learn how not to behave. From good people, I learn how to behave. My biggest mentor is Mother Nature. I know how harmony looks like, thanks to her. And I always keep that harmony in mind. Uh, and other teachers, Thich Nhat Hanh, you have mentioned, and others, um, they they taught me a lot, especially in the beginning when I started this, learning about this, let's say wisdom or expanding yourself onto others, living in harmony. First thing when I started learning, they helped me a lot. Now I rely less, let's say, on them and more on awareness because I already kind of established some level of this, awareness. So like creating this space and realizing what is going on and taking the right action, which is like Zen philosophy, for example. The right action is based on this basically. If you don't know the harmony, how can you act rightly, right? So every day, I'm learning, improving in my own ways. But I think I feel that I have learned the most important things already. That is having a good heart, and everything comes from a good heart, and the harmony. That there is a harmony to be respected, and respecting that harmony is showing good heart. That's the definition of showing a good heart, to respect that harmony. And yeah, for example, yeah, like whatever I do in my on my YouTube channel as well, and on my daily life, I try to bring back people's minds back to that harmony. I do vegan animal rights activism in my content, not on YouTube, because I realized how far we drifted away uh, from nature. These animals, they are bred into existence very unnatural ways, selectively bred into to give too much milk. I mean, chickens, for example, in the past they were giving 12 eggs a year, just like or 15 eggs, just like a normal menstruation cycle. But now they are giving every day, so it's like very unnatural conditions. So I do this because I just talk about veganism because I see this is wrong. Why it is wrong? Because it's unnatural. Many vegans don't realize that actually when they promote veganism, they are promoting undoing these technologies in the so-called livestock industry that bring it back that the animals, their natural purpose is not to be machines for us. It is not their natural purpose. They're supposed to run in the forest or whatever they are doing in the fields, right? Their own thing. And yeah, what was I lost the train of thought.
I think it was, yeah, we were just talking about like how do you stay in line with your values and how to, is it mentors or is it your own inner compass? And it sounds like it is your inner compass and you've learned what you've learned and now you're sharing what you've learned with the world, which I
Yeah,
deeply respect. And it also reminded me that um, I'm very much trying to teach people about how we are taught to believe that we're living in a mechanical world and that we are mechanical and that everything we've been taught is normal is really not normal. It is just benefiting a system that is supposedly mechanical and it's not. It's conscious. And that the act of eating meat, the way I connect this is that the act of eating meat is to normalize that system within one's own body. And I don't specifically tell people the first thing that you need to do is go vegan. I think it's extremely practical because it is making that decision to stop participating in acting like I'm a machine and acting like animals are a machine because
it's
there's no division.
immediate connection. Yeah,
It's immediate. It's very clear.
direct.
It's
Yeah.
direct. And there are all these ways that we can do it. And I think that eating less meat, eating preferably none, is a really great way to start. And I will say my story is slightly different because my partner was already on board with awareness, the truth, deconstructing materialism. So we had all of our values were very close, but he ate meat. And it was like I told you before we started the video, I surrendered everything to spirit. Like I'm going to surrender everything. And this feels right. It is to be with this person. And I would ask him, please don't cook that in the house. So you cook it outside. And he was very great about that until slowly he didn't want it anymore. It was just, it didn't feel right. And so I think that these can come in different orders. But I think eventually when we're really awakening to really who we are consciousness, that consciousness doesn't do that to itself. Consciousness can't do
Yeah,
that to itself and still
yeah.
feel
Okay.
true,
Yeah,
whole, right? I can't murder someone that I love. I can't abuse someone that I love, truly. And maybe it starts in different ways than that. We all have different paths, but I really appreciate how you're giving people a pretty easy, direct way to just take a step towards living more honestly, more authentically. And I really believe once the addiction is out of the body, once I stopped drinking, once I stopped doing substances, things changed very fast for me. My awareness changed very, very quickly. And I think that part of it is the withdrawal. You get through that withdrawal stage, and then my whole life changed drastically and intimacy became possible. So I think it might seem like, oh, veganism, that's extreme. But the extreme benefits that come that have nothing to do with food after, I think are
yeah.
completely worth it. They're so worth it.
Yeah. We all start somewhere. I mean, I wasn't vegan 7 years ago. If you talk with me, I was just starting to get the idea, and like I'm vegan now for 7 years, but majority of my life I wasn't. So I get it. I get that the mindset must be mature, ripe enough, and you go there step by step, and it must be actually, if you realize, that's the thing, that the urgency of the situation is huge, with suffering of animals, exploitation of animals is it's a holocaust. They say it's the biggest holocaust, the longest holocaust that's ongoing, and it's urgent, and we want to fix it urgently. But for some people, obviously, that path doesn't work. They need step by step, and of course, at first, we need to tell them, stop it now. It's urgent, because it is urgent. But if they don't get it, then again, like hating on them, like etc. This won't fix it. So we need to, Another aspect is that because people have, as I have mentioned, an instinct of fitting into society, shaming might, they say that it might be a tactic to make them fit. But the problem with that is majority of people are non-vegan. You can't how to say, shame them, and also shaming is fear-based, right? So it doesn't come from compassion. Or if someone goes vegan, let's say, because they are afraid that they will be excluded, they might eat animals in secret, right? So we must build slow, step by step, that compassion in them, undo their traumas, and it is the most difficult thing to do, to heal the traumas. And people, as you said, now we perceive the world as materialistic. That's why people, when they're traumatized, they try to cover themselves with materials. They want a big house, they want the latest model of this phone and a car, etc. Because if you think that you are made of materials, you cover yourself with materials, and that's the very wrong way of doing it. Going along with it. If you want to feel better, if you want, to find peace and happiness, you need to realize that the others' happiness, peace is your happiness and peace. So you need to basically, fix the whole thing. Yeah, very difficult. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think
that must be done.
the maybe the last thing I'll say about this is I think for me on my path, it began with my inner concept of life, and to really be curious about like what is the source of my life, and to, like you mentioned, awareness, to really find out what is awareness and can I be aware of awareness more often. And it was a ripple effect. And my conception of consuming and hyperconsumption is that the idea is that life is out there and that I need to take life in to feel alive. And I found that to be completely untrue, and that the source of life is awareness, is consciousness itself, and that the source is in me. And so there's no lack of life here. And it doesn't take anything to know that. It just
Yeah,
takes some pausing and some curiosity, and there's a lot of peace there.
it is. Many people don't realize it. Like, it is magic. We don't know consciousness. That's why science hates these type of topics, because it can't control. It doesn't even know what it is, right? Consciousness is magic. That's why, if as everything is consciousness, because we only experience consciousness, everything is magic. And they want to control. When they try to control with fear, and they create these hierarchical systems that are unnatural, and they drift away from this embracing mystery, embracing magic, just trusting that there is such a magic and it works. Magic will work itself out. They uh, they give up on this idea. They try to control. When they distrust and try to control, they create even more trauma, and it cascades basically. But that's why I find your work very extremely valuable, because it goes directly to the core of what is missing in people. It is realizing that you are consciousness and everything is consciousness. All the animals that you torture, they are consciousness. They are you. They are same as you, and all the things. And and Mother Nature that you are trying to cover yourself with, extract the material. It's like the same when you, instead of seeing a person as a being, you see them as material, as meat, and you try to get the meat. You try to cut the meat and consume the meat, and you try to cut down the trees because it's like the meat of the nature. Right? You just cut down the trees and use it, consume it, and when you lose the understanding of consciousness that it's magic, it leads you to evil. That's in my book is my definition of evil, basically being ignorant to harmony, being ignorant to this consciousness, the oneness. And it is the most important thing that they want to keep in secret. The system hates it. The system doesn't want people thinking like us. The system doesn't want people becoming more spiritual. That's why they put lots of fake spiritual leaders, so-called gurus, etc., that lead people in the direction that the system wants people to go. Unfortunately, but we must do our best within our means. And most important message is right here, that what we are talking. I mean, all this education system, all the mathematics, chemistry, throw it into garbage. It doesn't do any good. This is the real deal. This is the real deal. If you don't know this, you are lost, unfortunately.
And it's simple. I think it's a
that's
hopeful
simple.
message.
It's the simplest
It's simple.
thing, but the most overlooked thing.
Simple and the most overlooked. Yeah. Well, I am so, so glad you wanted to talk about this. I think that it kind of rounds out our conversation really nicely. What you were just
Thank you so much.
sharing, and it's so interconnected. What I love, as you said, like all of this is consciousness. So really, we could talk about any conversation, and it would come right back to that. And I want to treat you, and I want to treat others as I would want myself to be treated, right? That's myself, consciousness. So I think it's a really beautiful message, and it's a courageous message you're putting out there. I really hope that anyone listening to this also looks at some of your other work. It's really good stuff. Yeah. So beautiful. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone here. Oh, and actually, before I stop the recording, could you quickly say how people could find you? Is there anywhere?
Yeah, sure. The Wise and Vegan is my YouTube channel. If they Google The Connections 2021 short documentary, probably the first video will be my documentary. They can just click on it, watch it, and get the main message there, why technology is inherently bad. It's not like 50-50 or we can use it in a wise way. No. I mean, it is inherently, the idea is inherently bad, just like in other addictions. Like you can do it a little bit and expect it not to cause more harm. You use it a little bit, it leads to more harm because there are unforeseen consequences of using those technologies, and you can't guess what will happen. That's the main problem. And go watch it and share it around.
Share it around. Yeah. Excellent. I'll put that in the description, and you can find me at wholenesswisdom.com and my YouTube, the Wholeness Wisdom Podcast. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you very much, Erin.